I'm gonna go over just a few things in this book. It's A People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn. It's obviously a people's history of the United States. It's pretty self-explanatory, but it starts from Columbus to I want to say it ends around. I'm not even sure, but I know it went past the civil rights era. 2000, 2000 election on the war on terrorism. That's the last chapter of it. I want to just highlight a couple things though. One being on page 18, the author says Columbus called them Indians because he miscalculated the size of the earth. In this book, we too call them Indians with some reluctance because it happens too often that people are saddled with names given them by their conquerors. And it's the same thing with African American. Like, you can't say you come from slavery or whatever the case may be, and you're using this terminology to defend you, to claim yourself. That's not who you are. They did not call themselves Indians. They are not Indians. That is it's miscalculated, just like Columbus did. Okay, and it's a conquered name. Like that's the name that was given to them. So I kind of want to go back though, and let's go over these Indians. All right. So Columbus went to Hispaniola. It's in the Caribbean. Obviously, we know Columbus never made it to North America per se, but when he got to Hispaniola, they were called the Arawaks, the Arawak Indians. That's what they were labeled as. But the funny part about it, this is what Columbus said about meeting them, though. The Indians, Columbus reported, are so naive and so free with their possessions that no one who has not witnessed them would believe it. When you ask for something they have, they never say no. To the contrary, they offer to share with anyone. Columbus already describing these people as very giving. And then it makes me think of but we got a whole holiday called Thanksgiving. And they won't give it nothing. I don't see the point of colonizing in the way that they did if they were getting if they were met with this type of behavior. So in the book, it kind of tells you how Columbus really just destroyed these people. Like, they was cutting people's hands off. They was just burning. They would burn the crops, like the corn fields and everything they planted. They would burn them. They would kidnap people. They would burn them at the stake. And oftentimes, Columbus was doing this in the name of the Holy Trinity, which is very, 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 very interesting to me. He did it in the name of the Holy Trinity. The author says, what Columbus did to the Arawaks of the Bahamas, Cortez did to the Aztecs of Mexico, Pizarro to the Incas of Peru, and the English settlers of Virginia and Massachusetts to the Powhatans and the Pequots. The Aztec civilization of Mexico came out of the heritage of Mayan, Zapotec, and Toltec cultures. So there was already empires, different things. And it's crazy because the author also talks about how the English settled with Powhatan and what was called the 49 Confederates. I'm trying to find the exact thing for you. But also, I'm really just here to try to get you to think. So if there was already a native confederacy, is that how this government was able to just kind of swoop in a federal style? Because it was already set up in a sense for that. The Chief Powhatan had wrote to John Smith, and I ain't going to read the whole letter, but part of it he had asked, he said this. He said, why will you take by force what you may have quietly by love? Why will you destroy us who supply you with food? What can you get by war? And I think that's so interesting when you actually look at the conditions of the people that they was the conditions that they was living in. This on page 24 of this book. It's starting at the paragraph that say the Virginias of 1619, but we're gonna skip down some. It say in the journals of the House of Borgesses of Virginia is a document of 1619 which tells of the first 12 years of the Jamestown's colony. So that's the English settlers and what we call Virginia today. The first settlement had 100 persons who had one small ladle of barley per meal. When more people arrived, there was even less food. Many of the people lived in cave-like holes dug into the ground, and in the winter of 1609 to 1610, they were driven through insufferable hunger to eat those things which nature most abhorred, the flesh of excrements of man, as well of our own nation as of an Indian, digged by some out of his grave after he had lain buried 3 days and wholly devoured him. Others, envying the better state of the body of any whom hunger has not yet so much wasted as their own, lay wait and threatened to kill and eat them. One among them slew his wife as she slept in his bosom, cut her in pieces, salted her, and fed upon her till he had clean devoured all parts, saving her head. Basically, that's a whole bunch of fancy words of saying they was eating people. They was eating dead people too. And it's literally talk about how a dude killed his wife just to eat her. And then it's crazy too because even upon their arrival, there's no African slaves. On the next page, on 25, it talks about how white servants had not yet been brought over in sufficient quantity. Besides, they did not come out of slavery. It did not have to do more than contract their labor for a few years to get their passage and a start in the new world. And they started bringing the white servants over because they couldn't force the Indians to work for them no more. I think like after it seems as if the Powhatans in the Virginia area was that Confederate they had was way stronger than Hispaniola, to say the least. They fought back. Columbus and them couldn't slave them. The European could not enslave them on the mainland. That's what it was referred to as, the mainland. And this is the funny part about it too. So the beginning of chapter 2, at the bottom of page 23, it says some historians think those first blacks in Virginia were considered as servants, like the white indentured servants brought from Europe. But the strong probability is that even if they were listed as servants, they were viewed as being different from white servants, were treated differently, and in fact were slaves. So I think it should also just kind of be highlighted that there's not a millions of slaves at this time. There's not a gazillion of Africans being captured and brought to North America or this place or that place. That would actually be more done by like companies more so than what we kind of get told. Like, oh, they just captured them and brought them here. Nah, the Royal India Company, look into it. There's another one too, the Royal African Company. Look into it. There was actually like it was a true business to sell that crop because that's what it was. It was a cattle. They were looked at as horses and cows and stuff like that. But I feel like if you do wanna, it's a good book. Columbus was not the first people to discover America, and I think it's gonna take a while to really walk that down and walk it out. So I just kind of want to start opening things up piece by piece because it is complex when it has been simplified so long to where it really just became dull, very dense, but not fluid. But peace.